Hi, welcome to the studio. My name's Noah. I'm going to be your instructor for this 1 hour STOTT Pilates intermediate mat work session. If you haven't done Pilates before, or if you're new to the STOTT Pilates repertoire, I highly recommend that you have a look at my channel for the essential version of this class, and that'll give you a better foundation. But if you're ready for the intermediate, feel free to stick around. This video doesn't have any music playing over the top of it, but if you would like some music, if you have a look in the description below, you'll find a link to a Spotify playlist that you can play in the background. We are going to be using some equipment today, but if you don't have any to hand, don't worry. I'm going to give you equipment-free exercises as alternatives as well. If you are going to be using equipment, today we are going to need some kind of Pilates circle, some kind of pole, although if you don't have anything to hand, it's not strictly necessary. A towel just pulled taut between your hands will work fine. Some kind of pad or block or cushion or anything that you've got around that'll just lift you up a little bit higher if you have tight hamstrings. Again, this isn't strictly necessary, but if you think you're going to need one, pause the video and grab one now. And if you're ready to go, let's get on the mat. We're going to start off with a quick breathing exercise. So I just want you to find yourself a comfortable seating position with your feet and your knees about a hip's distance apart. I want you to try and feel the sit bones underneath you and come right up on top of them. So you'll kind of get that clunking sensation where if you go back a little bit too far and your spine's kind of a little bit curved, you'll feel them kind of slip from underneath you. I want you to roll forwards so you're sat right on top and you can feel them squarely under you. You're going to have your hands resting on your shins. We're going to sit nice and tall like there's a thread pulling up on our head. I want you to imagine someone's got that pole, they're holding it up against your back and you're sitting up really tall against it. You're going to inhale in through the nose and out through gently pursed lips. And throughout this whole session, I want that inhale and exhale to be deep and audible. So if there's someone in the room with you, they need to be able to hear you breathing. The goal is to breathe in as deep as you can, and as you exhale, it's forceful expiration of the breath. So we're really engaging the abdominals to squeeze the air out of us, so it's very active. Inhale in through the nose, and then as we exhale, we're going to roll from the head all the way down the spine until we're curved over our legs. We're going to maintain this position, and then we're going to breathe in, and I want you to imagine your back expanding out and filling the room. So every time you inhale, I want you to think about the three-dimensional expansion of the rib cage. And every time you exhale, I want you to think about the whole abdominal wall contracting and squeezing the air out. And when I'm talking about three-dimensional expansion, almost imagine that your rib cage is a cube, and every time you inhale, it's expanding side to side, up and down, forwards and backwards. So you're breathing the whole way around. We're not just lifting and lowering the chest, the back is expanding and the side of the rib cage is expanding as well. We're going to have one more inhale and exhale in this position, and then on your next inhale after that, we're just going to roll the whole way up as we inhale, breathing deep, straightening out the back. Take one more breath in this position, and then we're just going to roll the whole way back down again. So we're looking straight down between the knees. Think about the rib cage expanding like an accordion. So think about the space in between the ribs expanding, opening up the back. So we're getting as much air into the lungs as we can, and we're drawing it all the way down into the deepest lobes. We're going to take another couple of deep breaths here. Every time you exhale, I want you to think about the pelvic floor gently engaging and pulling up. And start to think about that connection between the ribs and the pelvis. So we're not just allowing the ribs to lift up, we're simultaneously pulling down with the abdominal wall to draw the lowest ribs down towards the pelvis. We're going to inhale here, and we're going to roll the whole way up, and then as we exhale, we're going to roll all the way back. And if you need to scooch down, just make sure you've got enough mat, the head and the feet, and we're just going to lay our hands down by our sides. Draw the knees up so that they're pointing straight up towards the ceiling, and we're going to find our neutral position so that we can do an imprint and release. So when I'm talking about neutral, I'm talking about that little gap between the lower back and the mat. I want you to imagine that someone's placed a grape underneath your back, and we're not going to squish it. We're going to inhale here, and as we draw the air in, you're going to feel these ribs wanting to lift up and out. So when I'm talking about the rib connection, What I mean is I want you to engage with the abdominal wall to pull those ribs back down, so that as your chest is expanding and your ribs are moving out to the side, we're not allowing those ribs to pop out. We're engaging with the abdominals the whole time. Exhale. One more inhale in neutral. And now as we exhale, we're going to lower the back down onto the mat into imprint, and we're going to squish that grape. Then as you inhale, you're going to come back up into neutral, and as you exhale, you're going to come down into imprint. So my pelvis is rolling slightly upwards and then slightly downwards to accommodate the motion of the lower back. So this is all about lifting the lumbar spine up into a nice neutral curve, how you want it to be in everyday life when you're walking around stood, sat, and then imprint, which is the position that we use to give ourselves more surface area contact with the mat, so that when we're doing any exercises that involve lifting the arms or the leg up and away, we've got a bit more balance. So keep on rolling between neutral on the inhales and imprint on the exhales. One more. And now we're going to come up into neutral on an inhale. And on our next exhale, we're going to roll into imprint, but then we're going to keep rolling until our back starts to peel up away from the mat and our hips lift up towards the ceiling. You're going to inhale at the top and then exhale, roll it back down. I want you to imagine there's a piece of sticky tape stuck onto the mat. We're going to grab one end of it, and then as we exhale, we're lifting that piece of sticky tape up away from the mat, peeling the back off. Don't engage with the glutes here. So we're just using the abdominals to pull the pelvis towards the rib cage. Inhale at the top, exhale, lower it back down. We're rolling all the way into imprint and then all the way through to neutral. Inhaling and then reversing it, going back the other way. So as you come up, you're going to feel your glutes and your hamstrings want to squeeze. Keep telling them to switch off. We're just using the whole abdominal wall here to pull ourselves up and then lower ourselves back down. One more of these hip rolls. Inhale, exhale, roll. And then inhale at the top, exhale, lower it back down. We're going to return to neutral, and then we're going to lift our hands up towards the ceiling to do some arm circles. We're going to inhale as the arms come back above the head, and then exhale. Oh, make sure you don't have anything on the floor around you. Exhale, sweep the arms around. Inhale, up and over in a big arc, and then exhale, sweeping the arms the whole way around. You may well feel that as your arms come up and over, the shoulders start to feel a bit tight, and it's very difficult to do this part at the top. If that's the case, just don't let the hands go quite as far down towards the ground so that the circle is a little bit higher up. But if you can get your hands all the way down towards the ground, that's great. And you can drag the fingertips the whole way along the floor. Inhale, up and over. Exhale, circle the hands around. We're just going to do one more of those. We're maintaining neutral throughout. So as you reach up and over, don't let the ribs lift and don't let the lower back drop down towards the ground. Maintain that neutral position, circling the arms around. From this position, we're going to roll over into an all fours for a cat stretch. So we're going to have our hands underneath our shoulders, the shoulders width apart, and we're going to have our feet and our knees a hips width apart with the knees underneath the hips. We're going to come into a neutral position, so I want you to imagine there's a thread pulling on the top of your head towards one wall, and there's another thread attached to your tailbone pulling you towards the other wall. From here, we're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, we're going to roll from the pelvis all the way along the back until it reaches the head, which drops down, look between the knees, inhale, and then exhale, bring the pelvis back to neutral, lumbar spine, lower thoracic, upper thoracic, head. So it's a Mexican wave, inhale, exhale, traveling from the pelvis along the back, and then we're just dropping the head at the end. So this is all about articulating the spine. So try and keep your arms and your legs square to the mat, And you're trying to reach your back up towards the ceiling as much as you can without disturbing your position. And we're going to switch directions. So inhale and then exhale, lower the head down, round out the shoulders, lift the back, roll the pelvis. Inhale at the top, exhale, head returns back to neutral, shoulders lower, straightening out the back and then lifting the tailbone. One more, lower the head, round the shoulders, lift the back, tuck the pelvis, and then reverse it. Lift the head up, lower the chest slightly, and then return back to neutral. We're going to sit back onto our heels. We're going to lift our arms out in front of us. And as we inhale, I want you to push your hands as far forwards as you can. And then as you exhale, you're just going to slide the shoulder blades back towards the spine. Inhale, push the hands forwards. Exhale, push them back. So my upper body isn't moving at all. All I'm doing is sliding and gliding the shoulder blades forwards and backwards. So it's this reciprocating motion. And if I turn around 90 degrees, you'll see my hands aren't moving apart or together at all. They're just pushing forwards and pulling backwards. So what we're trying to do is just warm up the rotator cuff muscles and start to gain a little bit of awareness of what our scapula are doing, because that's really important as we're doing some of the exercises today to make sure that they're not winging or tilting at all. So we're going to drop the hands down and then we're going to come back down onto the mat to do a hip release. So we're going to find our neutral again. We're going to have our knees and our feet hips distance apart. As we inhale, we're going to slide the foot down the mat, roll it across to the side, and then as we exhale, we're going to draw that knee up the mat and then bring it back up to the top. Inhale, slide away, roll to the side, exhale, draw it up and back in. So I want you to imagine that your feet are really heavy and they're sliding along train tracks. And we're maintaining a neutral position here, so we're not allowing the pelvis to come down to imprint or to rock from side to side. We're going to change directions now. Inhale, knee comes to the side, slide it down the mat, draw it back up to the top and pull it back in. Inhale to the side, down the mat, roll it up, exhale, back in. One more on this side. Inhale, exhale. And now we're going to change legs. So inhaling, slide the foot down the mat, roll the foot to the side, draw it back up. Inhale down to the side, exhale, draw it back in. So I'm trying to keep my feet completely parallel on straight lines the whole way. I'm trying to keep my pelvis completely level. We're going to change directions now. So as we inhale, the knee goes to the side, slide the foot down the mat and back up and in. Knee to the side, slide it away, roll it up, draw it back in. One more. So imagine you've got a bowl of soup perched on top of the pelvis, and as you're moving the leg around, you're trying to avoid spilling it. So from this position, we're just going to have our hands down by our sides. We're going to inhale and we're going to shrug our shoulders up towards our ears. And then as we exhale, we're going to slide our hands down the mat towards our feet. Inhale, shoulders to the ears. Exhale, fingertips to the heels. So keep that going. Again, we're just warming up the rotator cuff muscles and the trapezoid muscles. And try and focus, again, on that sliding and gliding motion of the shoulder blades. So I want you to imagine you're trying to open out your chest, roll the shoulders back towards the mat, and then we're just sliding the shoulder blades up and down the spine. One more of those. And then we're just going to finish off our warm-up with some little head nods. So I want you to imagine that someone's placed a peach or a tennis ball in between your chin and your chest. And all you're going to do is inhale and then exhale, just gently squeeze the peach. Inhale, return to neutral. exhale, lower the chin down, and push the mat up and away from you with the back of your head. So we're not curling the head up away from the mat, and we're not jamming our chin down towards our chest. We're lengthening the neck and then returning it to neutral. So there should still be a gap here between your chin and your neck. You're not trying to force it the whole way down. And this is just so that when we do flexion exercises, coming up and away from the mat, we can keep the neck long and in a protected position so that we don't strain any of the neck muscles. So it's a very subtle little motion. And then just rest there. So for our first exercise, we're going to do the ab prep. So we're going to stay in the exact same position that we've just been in. Our feet are going to be a hip's distance apart, our knees are going to be parallel. We're in neutral and we're going to maintain neutral throughout the entire exercise. We're going to take our fingertips and we're going to place them up onto our forehead, touching. We're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, as you inhale, do a little head nod, and as you exhale, you're going to peel up and away from the mat, and you're going to look straight in between your knees. We're going to inhale at the top here, exhale, roll back down onto the mat. Inhale, head nod, exhale, peel, until we're looking up towards the corner of the room, inhaling at the top, exhaling, lowering back down. Keep that motion going while I talk you through it. So we are maintaining this neutral, so as we come up, we're not doing a crunch, we're not allowing our lower back to touch down onto the mat. We're keeping our elbows nice and wide, like we're trying to grip hold of a big beach ball. And as we come up, I want you to think about suctioning the abs down towards the spine. So we're not allowing the abs to bulge upwards because we're pulling with the transverse abdominis muscles round into the side of the body. So from the bottom, inhale, head nod, exhale, lift. Inhale at the top, exhale, lower it back down. We're keeping our hands up by our forehead so that our arms are forming a little bit of extra resistance. We've got a bit of extra weight to move against. And we'll just do one more of those for good luck. Inhale, head nod, exhale, curl. Inhale at the top, exhale, lower it back down. And now for our next exercise, we're going to do the breaststroke prep, which is the opposite motion. So we're going to flip ourselves over. We're lying in a prone position, face down. Your toes can be tucked or untucked, but I want your heels to be pointing straight up towards the sky. We're going to have our hands down by our hips, with our chest open and our shoulders rolled back. Our nose is hovering about an inch away from the mat. We're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, we're going to lift up away from the mat like a dart. You're going to inhale at the top, and then exhale, lower it back down. As we're doing this exercise, it's going to be very tempting as you lift for your glutes to engage, because then you can pull yourself up even higher, but I don't want you to do that. So keep those heels pointing up towards the ceiling, keep the glutes nice and relaxed, use your abdominal connection to push down against the mat, and keep the shoulders open, the chest open throughout the whole exercise. So don't allow your shoulders to slump down. Keep everything engaged so that the upper back is drawn back towards the spine, the shoulder blades are retracted, and then use the lower back muscles to pull yourself up and away from the mat. And then we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to bring our hands up so that our fingertips are touching at the forehead. And then we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to inhale, exhale, lift. You probably won't be able to come as high because now we have the extra weight of our arms to push against. Exhale, lower it back down. Inhale, rest. Exhale, lift up and away from the mat. Inhale at the top. Exhale, lower it back down. One more. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, back down. And then just bring the hands down towards the shoulders, and we're going to push straight back into a shell stretch. So this is a little bit of a relaxation to get those lumbar muscles that we've just been working to relax a little bit. So we're going to sit on our heels. We're going to let the head hang nice and heavy. And then as we inhale, we're going to lift the back up. So I'm not lifting up away from my heels.
I'm just rounding the back out. My head isn't really doing anything here, I'm just letting it relax. And I'm not trying to pull in too much with my hands. If you're pulling the mat in towards you, you're pulling too hard. Just lift, pull the abdominal muscles up towards the spine to round out the back. So we're trying to create this space here between our thighs and our abdominals. And that's what makes it different than the child's pose, which is where you would be down long on the mat. So lifting up to create that shell shape. And then take one more inhale as we come up, very slowly, straightening out the spine and sitting nice and tall. So for our next exercise, we're going to do the 100. So we're going to come down onto the mat and we're going to grab hold of our circle. I'd like you to place this circle in between your ankles, and then we're going to come down with our feet in a tabletop position and our arms long by our sides. We're going to inhale, head nod, come into imprint, and then lift the arms up and extend the feet away. So we're squeezing the circle gently to try and keep our legs about a hip's distance apart, and this should help you to feel it through the abs. And then we're going to inhale, pulse the arms for 5, exhale, pulse the arms for 5. Inhale, exhale, and now we're going to add a little bit of a challenge, because every time we inhale, we're going to squeeze the circle and bring the feet in, and every time we exhale, we're going to release the circle and push them out. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 3, 4, 5, keep that going. So we're bending and stretching the legs. And the more you do this, the more you will feel your abs want to pull up and out. You're going to keep on suctioning them down towards your spine. So if you're doing it properly, you'll find it very difficult to talk. If you start to feel strain in the neck, you can lower your head down towards the floor, but bear in mind that this creates extra work for the abdominals, because now you don't have so much of a counterweight against your legs. If you're really struggling with the motion in and out, you can just hold it in one position or the other. Obviously holding it further out is harder, but I want you to really try and focus on keeping that motion going for as long as you can. We're nearly there. Keep suctioning those abs down towards the ground. Keep pulsing the arms. Nice deep breaths. Keep the neck nice and long. Don't let the head hang back or crunch it in towards your chest. And then bring the legs in, and you can pause, lower yourself down, and then the circle can come out of your ankles, and you can lower the feet down onto the mat. We're going to lift ourselves up to a seat position, and we're going to get into pretty much the same position as we were in for our breathing right at the start. So you want to feel your sit bones underneath you, and then we're going to bring the head all the way down towards the knees for a half roll back. You're going to lift your arms up so that they're parallel to the mat, and then as you inhale, you're going to roll back, maintaining that C curve. Exhale, roll forwards. So as you come back, you're only coming as far down as you can maintain the C curve and keep your feet on the mat. If I come further down, my feet start to lift away, and then I have to start straightening out my back. So we're only moving as far as that C curve will allow us. So if you can get your lumbar spine to just touch down, that's great. But you can't go any further down than that without starting to straighten out the back. Keep the shoulders nice and low. So we're not hunching our shoulders up towards our ears. We're keeping the chest open and the shoulders back. And your arms are just drifting forwards and backwards, maintaining that parallel distance from the ground. Inhale on the way back, exhale on the way forwards. So imagine you've got a big balloon in your lap here. As you inhale, it's inflating, and then as you exhale, you're squeezing the air out of it. One more. And then finally inhale and roll the whole way down onto the mat and grab hold of your pole. We're going to do the full roll up now. So we're going to grab hold of our pole, which is going to be about shoulders width apart. If you don't have a pole to hand, just use a towel or whatever else you've got and just pull it nice and taut. We're going to have our arms up above our head and our toes are going to be pointing up towards the ceiling. We're in a neutral position. You're going to inhale, arms come up to 90 degrees, and then exhale, keep on rolling up, and then reach for the toes. Inhale, start to roll back, and then as you come off your sit bones, start exhaling, and lay your back gently down onto the mat. So what I want you to avoid here is hitching up, by which I mean lifting the arms, and then pushing to get off the mat. So make sure it's a nice, slow, smooth peel the whole way up. Reach towards the toes, and then as you come down, I want you to avoid dropping your body weight. So you don't get to here and then collapse. Really try and control it the whole way down, laying one vertebrae at a time down onto the mat. And again, inhale, reach towards the ceiling. Go past 90 as we exhale, peeling up away from the mat, keeping the neck nice and long throughout. So again, we're not jamming our chin down towards our chest because no one wants to see a double chin. So as we come up, we do a little head nod as we lift off the mat and we don't jam our chin down, keep the neck nice and long, reach towards the toes, inhale as we go back, exhale as we lower down. Last one now. Inhale, reach nice and tall. Exhale, roll up and peel. Reach, reach, reach for the toes. Inhale, start to roll back. Exhale, come the whole way down. And then you can drop the pole. Next exercise that we're going to do is going to be the one-leg circle. Grab hold of your fitness circle again, if you have one, and we're going to hold it between our hands above our chests. And we're going to utilize the fact that you get resistance on this, both if you pull on it and if you squeeze against it. If you don't have a fitness circle, I just want you to take your hands and place them down onto the ground in like a big sort of V shape so that you've got something to push against, and you're just going to push down into the ground and engage through the triceps and the rear deltoids. If you do have a fitness circle, hold it above your chest, and we're going to lift one leg up towards the ceiling. I'm in a neutral position, so I'm not allowing my lower back to touch down onto the mat. Every time we inhale, we're going to pull on the circle. Every time we exhale, we're going to squeeze against it. So as you inhale, bring the foot out towards the side. Exhale, bring it across the body and up. Inhale, out and round. Exhale, across and up. Inhale, exhale. And then we're going to change directions. Inhale, across and round. Exhale, across and up. And then we're going to change legs. Drop this foot down, place it along the ground. The other foot comes up, point it towards the ceiling. And then we're going to inhale out and away from the body. Exhale, across into the top. So as you're circling the leg, your pelvis is going to want to roll from one side to the other, and we're not going to let it. We're going to change directions. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So don't let that soup that you're balancing on top of your pelvis spill. Maintain that neutral position. And then come back up to the top, bend the leg, and just slide it down the mat. Circle can go to one side again. And then you're just going to come up to a seated position. If you have a pad, now is a good time to grab it, or a cushion, or whatever it is you've got to hand. We're going to do a spine twist. So place your pad somewhere on your mat where it's comfortable to sit on. I am going to use one because I have tight hamstrings, but if you are more flexible, feel free to not use one. We're going to bring our feet all the way out to the full width of the mat, and we're going to reach our arms up so that we can just see them in our peripheral vision. We're going to inhale, sit nice and tall, and then as you exhale, go around to one side. Inhale, sit nice and tall, exhale to the other side. So every time you inhale, really focus on bringing your lumbar spine into a neutral position so that we're sitting up as tall as we can and our chest is staying open. Throughout this exercise, you are going to feel a desire to roll back and round out the spine. Make sure that doesn't happen. Keep on sitting tall, inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling. And the other thing I'd like you to notice is that as I go around to the side, my arms aren't changing the angle relative to my chest. So as I come around to the side, I'm not bringing the arms across the body, I'm maintaining this view where I can just see my fingertips in my peripheral vision. My head is moving round with the rest of my spine. And now we're going to introduce a little bit of a challenge. So as you come around to the side on the exhale, you're going to do a little pulse. So inhale, sit tall, exhale, exhale. Inhale, sit tall, exhale, exhale. Inhale, pulse, pulse. Keep that motion going. And every little pulse, I want you to go a little bit further around, sit a little bit taller. So we're not allowing ourselves to collapse. Keep using the abdominals to sit up as tall as you can. And back to the center, and relax the arms down. We're going to remove the pad, and our next exercise is going to be rolling like a ball. So we come all the way down to the foot of the mat. We're going to pick our feet up, place our hands onto our shins, and then curl up as tight as you can, like a ball. This exercise becomes a little bit easier, or rather you go further, if you lift your feet up. If you bring them in as close as possible, you won't roll as much and it's a little bit more controlled. So you can adjust the height of your feet depending on how confident you feel. As we inhale, our back is going to expand, and that shifting in the mass is going to cause us to roll back. Then we're going to exhale to come back up into the top. What I want you to focus on is controlling the speed at which you go back and forwards such that you slow down just as you get to this point and you don't slam your feet down into the mat. So we're going to inhale, exhale, come back up. Inhale, exhale. So we're stopping just here. So we're controlling on the way back, controlling on the way forwards, so that we're not rolling all the way up head over heels, and we're not coming all the way down and slamming our feet against the mat. Maintain this curled up position. So there is a similar exercise called the open leg rocker, in which at the top you sit tall and then you curve on the way back. But for this one, we're maintaining this C curve. So again, don't jam your chin down into your chest. Keep the neck nice and long. Keep the shoulders pushed down away from the ears. Inhale and exhale. One more of those. And then you can drop the feet down and roll down onto the mat. And then you can grab hold of your circle again, if you have one. We're going to do a single leg stretch now. The arm movement is exactly the same as the one leg circle. It's going to be inhale, pull, exhale, squeeze. However, because we've got both legs working, the inhales and the exhales will come faster. So bear that in mind. You're going to be pulling and squeezing on the circle at double the rate that we did before. So it's going to be a much faster motion. If you don't have a circle, it's going to be the standard movement. So we're going to bring our feet up to tabletop, and then we're going to curl up so that we're looking in between our knees. We're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, one leg is going to slide away, one knee will come towards us. The hand of the foot that's extended will come across to the knee, and the other hand will slide down to the ankle. Inhale together, exhale, switch. So the arms and the legs are essentially doing the same motion. We've got one coming in, one going out, one extending, one bending. So it's the same thing, but opposite sides of the body. And again, if you've got a circle, you're going to hold it above the chest, and it's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So again, you're moving it much faster than you would have been before. If you don't have a circle, just keep those arms moving, one and then the other. And if you'd like to introduce a little bit of extra challenge, we can scoop the foot as the leg extends. So it comes down and up, down and up. So we're sort of cycling the feet. drawing a big circle in the air with our toes. Make sure you're keeping the neck extended, so we're not dropping the head back, we're not crunching it in. And then we're going to inhale once we've evened ourselves out and pause there. Grab hold of the circle if you have it. Well, you don't need to grab hold of it because you're already holding it. If you have a circle, keep holding it and extend your arms up towards the ceiling because we're going to do obliques. If you don't have a circle, it's the standard obliques exercise with your hands on either side of your temples. So from this position, we're going to inhale. As we exhale, one leg will extend and we're going to roll across with the circle to the other side. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, or the standard exercise, one elbow drops at the ground and the other elbow comes across to the knee. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Make sure that that extended foot doesn't drop down towards the ground. So we're not doing this because that makes it too easy. So we're pointing the toes up towards the corner of the room. Also make sure that your wrists stay nice and straight. So as I come across, I'm not curling this wrist in, or extending it rather, to get this position. I'm staying nice and open with the chest. Again, if you're allowing the wrist to bend, that makes it easier. So keep it nice and straight because then you have to move your body further across to get the same benefit. Even yourselves out, pause on an inhale, don't drop the feet yet, we're not quite done, keep the head nice and high. If you're doing the circle version, put the circle to one side. The last exercise in our ab series here is going to be the slow double leg stretch. So you can lower the head down, keep the legs nice and high, hands come on either side of the knees. We're going to inhale, exhale, lift ourselves up, inhale, extend away, and then as the arms circle around, the feet circle, inhale, exhale. Inhale, rest, exhale, curl up, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So inhale and rest, exhale, lift yourself up, inhale, extend away, and then as I draw a big circle with my hands, I draw a little circle with my feet. Inhale, back in, exhale, lower it down. Inhale, rest, exhale, curl up, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Last one. And lower it down. Next up, we've got scissors. So what I want you to do, after you've taken a little rest and let your hip flexors relax, we're just going to lift our leg back up to tabletop, bring the hands back up to the knees, and then we're going to curl up so that we're looking in between our knees towards the corner of the room. We're going to extend the legs up towards the ceiling, inhale, and then as you exhale, one leg's going to drop away, the other one's going to come in towards the chest. We're not forcing this leg in, we're just guiding it in, pushing gently against the calf. Inhale together, exhale, switch, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So try and keep the heel pointing straight down. As you get lower to the ground, your leg will want to turn out and away. So just make sure that you are keeping that heel nice and square, perpendicular to the ground. And then we're just going to introduce a little pulse. So as the leg comes in towards the chest, exhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, exhale, inhale. The higher up you can lift your upper body away from the mat, the easier your life will be. So if you come lower down, it means your hamstrings have to work harder. So if you lift yourself all the way up away from the mat, really engage through the abdominals, you get a better range of motion out of your legs without any discomfort. One more. Bring the legs together, and then you can just lower them down. And we're going to plant our feet down onto the mat, quite close to our seat, for shoulder bridge. This is going to be the full version of the exercise. So find yourself a nice neutral position. Place your hands down by your sides. Normally when I do this one, I like to have my hands a little wider than the mat so I can press down into the floor. As we lift up, we're going to maintain neutral. So as we did the hip roll during the warm-up, you roll through and you come through imprint. For this one, we're going to lift the pelvis straight up towards the ceiling, and we're not going to change our lumbar spine at all. So our whole back is going to lift off in one piece and touch down in one piece. So find your neutral, inhale, exhale, lift straight up, tensing the glutes at the top, inhale, exhale, lower it back down. So what you're aiming for is for both sit bones to touch down straight onto the mat simultaneously. Inhale, exhale, lift, inhale, exhale, lower. We'll do one more like that, lifting straight up together and then lowering it the whole way down. Now we're going to inhale at the bottom, exhale, lift, and then as we inhale at the top, we're going to lift one leg up, exhale, 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 inhale, lower it down, exhale, lower the body, inhale at the bottom, exhale, lift, inhale, exhale, 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 inhale, lower it down. Go back onto the right leg or left if you started on the left. So as I lift it up and lift my leg up, my toes are pointed, and then I flex the foot as it comes down. And I'm trying to keep my pelvis as level as possible. So don't move your leg any faster than you can control your pelvis. So as you lift up, extend the foot, and as I come down, I'm not allowing my pelvis to roll to one side. I'm keeping both hip bones pushed straight up towards the ceiling, and then lower it down. So we're going to finish off this workout with a full rollover. So I'd like you to extend your legs down the mat, feet are going to be together. Your arms, if you didn't have them before, are definitely going to want to be planted a little bit wider than the mat for this one. We're starting in neutral. We're going to lift our legs straight up to point our toes towards the ceiling like we did for scissors, and as we do so, we'll come into imprint naturally. So inhale up, and now exhale, lift and roll back as if you want to touch your toes to the floor. If you can touch your toes to the floor, that's great, do so. And then as we inhale, we're going to separate the legs. Exhale, roll very carefully and in a controlled manner back down towards the floor. And then inhale, bring the feet together, up, exhale, over, reaching the feet back above the head. Inhale, separate, exhale, all the way back down. Feet back together. Inhale, lift, exhale, rolling up and over. Inhale, separate, exhale, lower it down one vertebra at a time. So as with the roll up, with the roll over, I don't want you to hit your hips or kick yourself up. So from this position, don't flick your legs to get up and over because you'll just strain something and have a bad day. So slowly lift and then slowly lift the pelvis, reaching the feet back. So the whole motion is completely controlled, and as you come down, don't collapse, don't just fall back down onto the mat. So from here, push through your hands, use the triceps to control the movement down. So I'm very actively pushing down into the floor the whole way up and over and down. So we're really using the arms here to control the motion. It's not all the abs. One more. Inhale, up, exhale, over. Inhale, separate. And then very carefully lower it down. Bring the feet together to tabletop and then back down onto the mat. So that's the main portion of the workout all done. What we're going to do now is have a little bit of a stretchy relaxation. So if you have anything similar to a small stability ball, that's brilliant. I'm going to be using one of these. If you have a cushion or a bolster or anything similar, even a foam roller, especially if you can pad it with a towel, that will work as well. We're going to come down onto the mat And we're going to get into the same position as we were earlier for shoulder bridge. You're going to bridge up, place this ball underneath your lower back, and then relax down on top of it. Place the arms out to the side, and then if it feels comfortable to do so, and only if it feels comfortable, extend the legs down the mat, and then just completely relax. So the goal is to find a position in which you can relax on top of the ball without putting any effort into holding that position. So you'll probably find, while you're in this position, there are some smaller muscles around the body that are holding on to tension and they don't want to completely relax, especially around the glutes and then the front of the hips. What I want you to do is find that tension and just gently tell those muscles to relax. Completely ease down into it. Let the lower back completely flop over the top of whatever it is you found to lie on top of. And we're just going to take a little bit of time in this position to just chill out and let all the muscles that have been working throughout the session go back to their normal state so that we're not leaving the session feeling all tense and overly worked. So if you can afford the time to spend 5 or so minutes in this position, then that's great. You can pause the video and do so. But otherwise, we're just going to spend a couple of minutes here. So just keep on breathing nice and deep. Still focus on maintaining that rib connection. So don't let everything go completely floppy as you breathe in. Just make sure that you're still thinking about what the abs are doing as you breathe out. Gently expel that air. So we're still maintaining our breathing. But everything else, just allow it to completely relax. And then when you feel suitably relaxed and stretched, just very, very slowly, one leg at a time, draw your feet back up into that bridge position. And then very slowly, just lift up so that you can remove the ball. And then lower yourself down. And then in your own time, nice and slow, we're just going to work our way over onto our front. And we're going to come into a shell stretch. So place whatever it is you've got, cushion, bolster, foam roller, stability ball, whatever, into your lap. And then we're just going to fold over the top of it. And we're going to let the head hang nice and heavy. And just relax down towards the mat. So again, I want you to try and find a position here where you can maintain it without any effort whatsoever. So we're not forcing it, we're not holding any tension anywhere in the body, especially in the neck. That's probably where you'll find it, the neck and the shoulders wanting to lift you up and support you. Just let them hang completely heavy down towards the mat. Keep on breathing nice and deep. And again, if you have the time to spend 5 or so minutes in this position, you can pause the video and do so. Just let all the muscles in the back completely relax. Try and lose all that tension out of them. And then whenever you're ready, just slowly start to push your weight back onto your heels. And then just slowly start to sit up. And make this very, very slow. And once all your weight is back on your heels, just slowly start from the lumbar spine up to straighten out the spine and sit nice and tall until your head comes up. And just take a second here
to breathe nice and deep. You may well feel a little bit lightheaded, so just sit here and breathe until that goes away. And then we're all done. So I hope you enjoyed that session, and I hope to see you again next time.